What's this car? What year is it from? 56, that's right. And what's it called? Hi, my name is Naresh Subramaniam and this is Rahul, and this is our 1956 Turner Sports. Turner sports cars were built in the UK by a gentleman named Jack Turner, who was a well-known privateer and race car builder. In fact, a lot of the single-seater and dual-seater race cars he built still survive in the UK. Well, Jack started sports car production in 1955, and this is an example of the first model he produced. This is a very early car. It's chassis number 44, and like I said, it dates from 1956. Now, Turner sports cars were based on their own steel tube ladder frame chassis, which was designed by Jack and which is unique to Turner's. And rather innovatively for the time, they used fiberglass or glass reinforced plastic, as they called it at the time, to reduce the overall curb weight of the car. Now, for its mechanicals and drivetrain, he dipped extensively into the Austin parts bin. And this car has its original engine. It has a 948cc high compression BMC A series engine and a twin 1.25 SU carburetors. Now, this high compression engine setup, coupled with the fiberglass body, makes it a very nippy car to drive indeed. And its handling is absolutely superb. All told, Turner produced something like 650 cars, and of which the excellent Turner register has records of 317 known survivors. But of this particular model, there are only 21 cars in the world, so which makes it a rather unusual car indeed. Also, of the 317 survivors, apart from 2 recent imports to Japan, this is the only car in Asia. So again, very, very unusual. Now, this car has a very interesting history. It was bought in the UK by Dr. Earl Fonseca, well known in Sri Lanka as the conductor of the Sri Lankan Philharmonic Orchestra. And Dr. Earl bought this and used it in London, and actually there's a photograph of this particular car in the Sports Car magazine in 1957, used to illustrate an article on Turner's. And as far as I know, Dr. Earl also took part in the event in Brands Hatch in 1957 before shipping the car back to Sri Lanka in 58. There's almost no records of it, no competition history of the car in Sri Lanka, but I did find an entry where J.P. Obesekar had entered the car in Katagurunda in 1958. But apart from that, I think the car was used very much as everyday transport. It's a very special car. I first saw this car in 1998. It was in a warehouse with a prominent collector, and it was surrounded, it's looking very sad, surrounded by a lot of stuff around it. And I still distinctly remember towing this car back to my uncle's garage. Uncle Bree was in the Jeep in front, pulling the car, and I was seated on the floorboards or the floor panel on a wooden box, holding onto the steering wheel for dear life. And I suddenly looked down and I saw the road flash below me because the floorboard was so corroded, I could actually see through it. And this horrible thought struck my head. I was not sure if the floorboard would hold up until I got to the garage, and I thought I'd end up under the car. But fortunately, all's well that ends well, and she's given me over 20 years of absolute pleasant memories since that day. Look, for everyone who's interested in getting into this sport, into collecting classic cars, what I'll recommend is you get in as soon as possible. Right? It's an absolutely wonderful hobby because you get to meet a lot of like-minded people, and it's the camaraderie above all that really is fantastic. I've met people all over the world, and they're generally fascinated to find that these cars are collected in Sri Lanka, and you build some very, very strong friendships. It's also very important that you understand the vehicle you buy or you're thinking of purchasing. So do your research before, right? It's difficult to find parts for some vehicles. Some vehicles are easier to actually as a starter kit, as a starter restoration. So please do your research before you get into it, but it's an absolutely wonderful hobby.